It may look like a harmless bagel toaster, but inside is a deadly donut. How do you know PlayStation is not a normal game system?
Hey everybody, welcome back to Game Esoterica, a continuing series, PlayStation 1 in Paradise, where I take out some of my favorite PlayStation 1 games of all time, both in 3D and in 2D, and today we're playing Mega Man Legends 2. I absolutely love this franchise from start to finish, so much so I own the original collection on PlayStation 1, both as US and Japanese discs, and I'm not even sure why I chose to do that. Before I get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel like kind of want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But what started off as a weird offshoot of the Mega Man franchise with the original Mega Man Legends ended up being a franchise that went through the PlayStation 1 and then utterly disappointed us when Mega Man Legends 3 was pulled without even showing us so much as that demo that was supposed to be released. This was an amazing franchise, and for some reason Capcom decided to leave it by the wayside. Apparently they don't want Mega Man fans to be happy. But the interesting thing about doing a video like this is just deciding what to show you. I'm only bringing you through the early areas of the game because to show you some of the best parts of the game would take me 14 to 18 hours, and honestly I want you to experience it yourself. But right off the top, our little monkey buddy here managed to get himself on fire trying to bake a pizza in the kitchen, and no matter how many times you put him out, he continues to run back into the fire and catch on fire. He might not be the brightest monkey in the batch, but he is still a pretty cute one, and it really goes to sell the personality of this game. It's colorful, it's cute, it's charming, it's got Mega Man fun in spades. And honestly, if you can't tell already, I am using some big enhancements on this game via Duckstation because I think this is one of the best looking games on the PlayStation 1 for 3D. And when we move it into 16:9 and scale all the visuals, you can just see as the monkey hops around, this looks more like an early PlayStation 2 generation game. And because all of the environments in the game are so expansive and wide in and of themselves, making this a 16:9 experience, doing a circle here, this just feels like something that shouldn't be possible on the PlayStation 1, and that's because without Duckstation it isn't. But basically this is an action RPG. There's definitely shops you have to visit, different quests you need to get, but in between there you basically go into levels or dungeons where you're going to have to defeat certain enemies and a boss to move on with the game. And of course it's a classic PlayStation 1 era story, it's mysterious, and it's not really going to give you much until you get later in the game. This basically feels like the action version of Final Fantasy VII in my opinion, and you can see the monkey still is totally safe. We were able to put out that fire. He lives the monkey around another day. But a lot of the charm in this game is just going through the environment, see the different characters, and see what you're going to see next. Every environment has its own unique vibe and flair, and when we actually traverse the areas and get some of the story, the camera angles, the models, the overall vibe is just so unique to the PlayStation 1. Even her right here just trying to find her grandfather and worrying if he's already dead, it's definitely got some morbid undertones to it, but it's so bright and cheery and colorful you honestly can't help but be happy while you're wondering whether or not her grandfather is dead herself. And that's just the fun thing about a game like this. It does tell a good story. Granted, it's not all voice acted, you're going to be reading a lot of text, but for the PlayStation 1 era, that wasn't weird. And this girl here is looking for her dad, and she doesn't know where he is, but soon she'll be his dad if he just does a certain thing. It's a very strange thing, Mom saying you're going to get a new dad, but in Mega Man, it's just 100% a thing that happens. And my favorite part of the game, if we run up here, there is a dog on the ground, which looks like a fox, but it says bark bark. You can interact with it, it is amazing. The one thing you can't do is interact with this bunny though, because you can accidentally kick it, and you feel bad after you're done. Don't kick any rabbits in real life, folks. It is bad karma, and I will judge you if you do it. Now, the one thing in Mega Man Legends, the entire franchise, that's never been the most amazing thing is the combat. And that's just because you can't judge it against the 2D Mega Man games. Those are such tight 2D platformers with awesome shooting mechanics and combat. A 3D Mega Man never had what it took to rival that. But if you stop thinking in those terms and start considering this as more like a 3D platformer with a lot of fun environments and story to go through, you can forgive the combat ever so slightly of not being the most perfect thing in the world. But when we get inside the dungeons, that's when the game really becomes fun. You get a lot of combat, a lot of different mazes and things to do. And I will say that Capcom absolutely nailed it on the soundtrack as well. Maybe not as good as the 2D games, but I still love it. Go ahead and listen for 35 seconds and I'll be right back. It's good music. It feels like basically Capcom decided to make some adventure gaming music and went with a little bit of a generic theme to it. Sounds like Mega Man, but it never has the intensity and spots that the 2D games are going to have. That's not to knock it, it's just to say that the 2D Mega Man games have such iconic soundtracks that it's really hard for Mega Man Legends 2 to live up to. But again, that's not what the game is trying to be. It's so interesting to look at a game like this decades after release versus around the same time that we're still getting 2D Mega Man games. It was one of those things. Everyone loved the 2D so much. These games did well and they were reviewed well, but I just don't think they had the same love from the fans that the 2D games had. And maybe that's why Mega Man Legends 3 never actually happened. That is still one of the biggest modern gaming disappointments in my eyes. Capcom teased Mega Man Legends 3. They talked about an interactive demo that would gauge interest to see whether or not they were going to make an actual game for Mega Man Legends 3. And then they basically killed the entire project and made the whole concept go away. I was so excited when that was announced and so bummed out when it was canceled. But another great thing about Mega Man Legends 2 are the boss fights. They're definitely amped up from the original Mega Man Legends, which I would say is like a B tier game, where Mega Man Legends 2 is definitely in the A tier. They're strategic, there's a lot of platforming going on, you have to kind of strategize how you want to take on a boss, because the death in this game does set you back. It's not just going to be like a 2D game where you jump right back in, you're going to have to go through a little bit more of the traversal. Well, this is just one of the earliest bosses in the game too. Every single boss is new, unique, different, inventive, and really makes you approach the fight and understand what the boss's mechanics are and how to exploit their own weaknesses. Because in this one, so long as you stick and move and keep moving around, you're basically going to have a free fight. But if you try to get in the boss's face, it's absolutely going to wreck you almost immediately. And that's the fun about a game like this. You get to play it in a completely different way than you would play a different Mega Man game like the 2D ones. And I love that back in the day we got these offshoot franchises that took a property and did something different with them. I wish we got more of that now. But I do love in classic storytelling every answer that we need this man has, but he just got amnesia from getting hit by that boss. It's one of the biggest tropes in storytelling, and Mega Man Legends 2 just 100% runs with it here. But even as we go into new areas, we get so many amazing cutscenes. This game constantly wants to show you something new and unique, and it does have a lot of story. This is maybe one of the deeper stories in the game. You can see here that we just get like a 15-20 second cutscene of Mega Man being dropped down onto the Forbidden Planet before we go into the actual gameplay itself. But I will say that this has some of the best voice acting of the PlayStation 1 generation. Go ahead and listen to the story chunk for like 45 seconds to get a vibe for the really good voice actors that did the lines, and I'll be right back and show you a little bit more of Mega Man Legends 2. But enjoy, because it's actually really good.
Nothing to report, sir.
Keep your eyes wide open. If any pirates show up, I want them taken care of immediately.
Yes, sir.
No one has journeyed to Forbidden Island and returned to tell the tale, but today 2 men who have devoted their lives to studying that infamous island...
Did you have to call so many reporters?
Can't have all the fun myself, can I? The more the merrier, wouldn't you agree?
You never change, do you? Just try not to make a fool of yourself or me.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, thank you for your patience. I would like to present to you a brief description of our planned expedition.
I don't know if the silence there is supposed to be a reaction to his planned expedition and no one really caring, or if it's just that there's no music there, but it kind of reads in a comical nature that I'm not sure the developers are going for. Now that's definitely not movie level acting. You're not going to get an Academy Award for that voice acting, but compared to some of the other stuff we got on the PlayStation 1, I would say they deserve an Academy Award in a PlayStation 1 voice acting category. But another great thing about Mega Man Legends 2 is just all of the environmental storytelling. You get to see certain things that are happening, and you only get a little bit of dialogue as far as the text is concerned. You move right on, but it's constantly showing you something new. And another thing that I love about this game is just how inventive all of the enemies are. This is basically like a horror dinosaur robot come to life. It's like a T-Rex with clamps for arms, like clamps from Futurama. It's strange, it's unique, it's something I've never seen before outside of this game, and probably something I'll never see again. And that's why I love Mega Man Legends 2. Even though I'm not showing you all of the game and I'm definitely not spoiling any of the story, if you've never played this game before, check it out. It's not the longest thing in the world, it's not the shortest thing in the world, but it's one of the most unique games I've played on the PlayStation 1. And as a Mega Man and Capcom fan, I love that they decided to pivot this series and give us something new in this kind of 3D role-playing game. I'm just still hyper bummed out that Mega Man Legends 3 never happened, but hopefully Capcom smartens up one day and realizes that there's a lot of fans out there for this franchise, and a Mega Man Legends 3 is definitely a game that a lot of us would be into. But then again, I obviously misjudge a lot of things. Videos I think that are going to do well don't, and videos that I don't think are going to do well do. So don't take my word for it, game developers. I should not be the barometer of whether or not you should make a game, but still take my word for it. Make me a Mega Man Legends 3, I would absolutely love it. Sure that Mega Man's going to go on with his quest, and we're done with the video. Bye bye.